Welcome to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast. I am your host, Kaylee Greenacre, a business strategist, coach, TEDx speaker, author, and your go-to woman for all things business strategy. I am obsessed with supporting female entrepreneurs to grow unstoppable six and multi-six-figure businesses that they love, giving them the freedom and life that they desire. During this podcast, I'll be sharing with you everything that you need to become a successful female entrepreneur, from the mindset shifts to sales and marketing strategies and how to become an iconic leader that people can't get enough of. It is my mission to help you stand out, attract your dream clients and customers, and sell out of your offers with ease whilst building the business and life of your dreams. Let's make this your reality, ladies. Hello, ladies, and welcome to another episode of Actually I Can, the Female Entrepreneur Podcast. And I'm joined today by the most incredible and fabulous guest, Matt Hall, who is an online business strategist and is an absolute pro at launching. And I'm really, really excited to be welcoming him onto the podcast today to be diving into how you can launch successfully. Matt, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. I'm grateful for the invite. So looking forward to chatting all things launching. It's the thing that I'm most excited about at the moment. It's the thing that I've got lots of clients doing. I've just done myself. So let's dive into whatever you want to ask me. Let's talk all things launch.
Absolutely. What I think would be really, really awesome is if you could share a little bit about your story and journey first to our listeners.
So I started my first business when I was 19 years old. So that's 15 years ago.
Wow.
And I wasn't, you hear it all the time about the person that was selling lemonade on the lemonade stand at 11 and they're just these bored entrepreneurs. That couldn't have been further from me. I was a bit of a performer, wanted to be an actor actually, and just wasn't very academic, but I certainly didn't see myself as a business owner. So I basically was in a band and we had a manager that we didn't like. And I just came up with this crazy idea at 19. I was like, well, what if I just bought us some speakers and stuff? We'll just manage ourselves. And that was me starting a business without kind of knowing it. And interestingly, as I reflect, I think that's one of the things about my personality traits. I see an opportunity and I act on it. And I think that's really, really useful in business and entrepreneurship. But long story short, the first 8 years of my business journey was just making every mistake you could imagine. I had no business training, I'd not been to university or anything like that. And back then, I wasn't really aware of business mentors or coaches or even things like podcasts. We really forget how quickly things have changed in the last 5-10 years. So back then it was just a lot of learning through failing and making mistakes and losing money, trusting people I shouldn't have trusted, having money stolen from me, all that kind of stuff. But over that experience, there was a lot of them figuring out how to do it and the right way of doing it. And I found that actually I have a real passion for this stuff. And what I was seeing is a lot of people was asking questions about business, and a lot of people were making or potentially going to start making the same mistakes that I was making. So eventually I was like, do you know what? I want to help people do this. And the last 6 years nearly now, I have been helping people with their businesses, self-development, mindset, and all those kind of themes.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your story. And I know that you have the most incredible community, and you are absolutely a pro at what you do and support so many people in building, like you said, the most successful businesses online. So I'm really, really excited to be diving into the topic of launching.
Yes.
So I know you've just had the most insane launch. And I would love, if you're happy to share a little bit more about what you did and why it was so successful.
Well, we kind of did two, so by accident sort of thing. So we had one main launch at the end of April / beginning of May.
Yeah.
And that had a real launch strategy to it. And we really took our time. And I think that's the first thing I would say to anybody looking to launch anything, whether it's a course or a membership or any kind of online digital product or service. I would say, don't just wing it. I think people think launching is just putting a post on social media that they've created on Canva and be like, I've got this amazing offer, you should buy it. And it's like, that is not going to get the best results. So I think that's the first thing, is having a real plan to it and having a strategy to it. So we did that. and I think we was just short of 16 weeks was the whole plan for that launch. So it wasn't just get out of bed, make a course and sell it. We really put strategy behind it. And that launch did just over £41,000 in revenue in the space of like just short of 2 weeks when the cart was open. But then off the back of it, I just, as we sometimes do, like entrepreneurial brains, we just have an idea and execute on it straight away. So
Yeah.
straight away, I was like, I want to do another launch in 4 weeks' time. So we then did another launch, which was like a mini rushed launch, and we did another just short of £30,000 again. And actually, we pretty much sold out. We actually oversold by accident, but we sold out within 1 hour. So we made like just short of 30 grand in an hour.
Wow.
So, but I want to say, like, this is the result of years of like getting it wrong and learning. And really, it was the last 8 months or so that I really started learning from. Obviously, we met via Lisa Johnson. Big shout out to Lisa. And
Yeah.
she really was the person who just showed me some tweaks I can make that would
Mm.
make a huge difference. And that's all it was really. It was making a few tweaks, launching properly, I tell people to create something that is like a no-brainer, irresistible offer. And I think that's the thing, is really looking at your offer so that when you do come to launch, you really understand your ideal client. You understand exactly what their fears are, what their objections are, what their desires are, and make sure your offer speaks to all of that. Um, and that is, I think, a big piece of the puzzle behind a successful launch.
Amazing. First of all, I just want to say, like, absolutely incredible. Such
Thanks.
amazing results. But I think you're so right. When it comes to, your planning and your preparation, having that irresistible offer, knowing your audience inside out is just so important, isn't it? To know that this is something that they are going to want and they're going to literally see it as this absolute no-brainer.
And
It's
actually have that, like, know that audience, because that's something else I'll comment on. Is for years I pushed back on the whole, you know how you hear it, like they say the riches are in the niches. If you're
yeah.
American, it doesn't sound the same if you're from Bradford like me. It's just a niche. But I think for years I'd heard a lot of different mentors and coaches actually speaking about niche down. And if there was one big piece of advice I would say to anybody that's not niching down, it please let me be the voice today that is the catalyst to you niching down. Because I pushed back because I was like, I don't want to be pigeonholed and I can help everybody. And
Yeah.
I don't want to just work with one type of person. And actually, that's another thing I would say, to your point there that you were saying about really understanding your ideal client. If you don't have one, if you're just saying I help everybody and anyone, you can't make it a
Yeah.
no-brainer to that individual. So I think really having a specific like ideal client avatar, understanding them has, again, it's been a big part of why I'm getting these kind of results now.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? I can echo that exactly the same as well. I think when I started my business, I was that person. I wanted to help everyone and give them all of the confidence and the launching and the lead generation, the strategies, all of the things. And then ultimately I was, as they say, you talk to everyone, you talk to no one kind of concepts. And
Right.
it is true though, isn't it? It's true.
It is, but I'm sure you probably have a similar experience where you still can make money and it still does get you so far, kind of trying to appeal to everybody. But when you want to start really moving things forward in your business and not being a slave to business, which I was becoming, I was doing a lot of one-to-one work. I was very, very busy. Like, to get to that next level, really, that is one of the tweaks I suggest people make.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So with launching them, launching is something, as we know, it takes energy, planning, preparation, having that real clarity. And depending on how much of a time frame people give it, whether it's a couple of months, whether it's 6 months, etc. I know people vary in regards to their launches. But is there any advice that you would say to our listeners who are in the launch process and they're starting to feel a little bit, demotivated, a bit exhausted from it? How do you actually keep that momentum and that motivation going throughout a launch?
The first thing I would say is environment is key. So, who are the people around you? I don't just mean like physical environment, I mean like digital environment. Are you following people online that actually remind you of the important lessons and sort of are talking positively about launching and so on? Or are you around people that are saying like the world's ending, there's no point making money, we're all gonna be dead in a minute anyway, robots are gonna kill us? like what is the, because I think that's huge. I think like your energy, your beliefs, your overall kind of confidence, whether we like it or not, on some level, is influenced by the conversations we're having, the things we're consuming. So that's why, and it's not just to sell like what you and I do. It's just my personal experience. I think in particular, having mentors, having coaches that have launched and do launch that can reiterate this is just part of the process. It's okay, and have positive conversations around it and reinforce and hold you accountable, I think is key. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing, is who are you speaking to, because they'll help keep you in check, and what are you consuming. And I think the other thing is just having patience and trust in that process. When you've got a clear specific goal, remembering why, like it's that thing of, rather than just randomly selling different stuff every week, like you've got a bigger goal with this and it's a smarter way of working. So just remembering the why, it's going to take time and things like that. I think there's some of the key things.
Mm.
But I get it. Like, you can sort of question yourself, doubt yourself. But I think being strategic, that's the other thing I'd say actually. Having a strategy where every week there's specific things to do can then feel like this sense of progress. So even though you're not launching this week and you're not making money this week and you're not getting results for clients this week within this strategy, you know that each week is ticking boxes that all amount to that outcome. So I think knowing that you've got specific tasks every week aligned with that outcome, and just knowing as long as I keep ticking that boxes, I'm in alignment, we're heading towards the goal. I think that can be useful just from a mindset perspective as well.
Yeah, amazing. So some really good piece of advice in regards to how to keep that momentum going, how to look at ultimately breaking it down week by week and looking at the things that are moving that needle forwards and getting you closer to that next thing. I think with launching as well, it can use a lot of our energy. It does take up a lot of our energy, and we need to be in that like highest energy vibe, especially in that launch period, right? Of when we open a cart or even actually pre-launching. Is there anything that you do? I'd love to like get into your head here. Is there anything that you do to kind of really keep that high energy when you are in the moment of actual launch?
Okay. So when it comes to the actual launch, you're right. It can feel like it takes your soul some days. Like I'm not gonna lie, and I think that's part of it. Is just you learn through doing. That's a big motto of mine. Is you learn like what energy it takes. You learn like even just things like having the confidence that you can do a launch. You only learn that once you've done a launch. So I would say that that's like one of the biggest things, is you will figure out, because it's individual for each person, right? There's no one size fits all, but you will figure out how you work best. When you do a launch. For me, a lot of my clients know me for say this phrase, I say it all the flipping time, which is, when you look after the basics look after you. And when I talk about basics, I'm talking about all the things that are readily available to us, hydration, nutrition, sleep, reducing and minimizing unnecessary stresses. So for me, when it comes to a launch, I really try and prioritize that stuff. I prioritize clearing my diary. So it's like I'm not going to be booking in clients one to one and, booking in other big events and things like that. I think that'll probably change the more that I do launch, because the more you launch, the more you get used to it, the more that energy is natural. But I think when it's new, there's more adrenaline and fear, and it can feel really draining. So I would just say, as best as possible, make space for the launch week. Look after the basics, look at your nutrition, look at your hydration as best as you can. Prioritize evening routines and sleep, because we know we're generally making better decisions. We're sharper. Our energy's better generally when we're well slept. And I know it's not perfect. And I know, like, if you're anything like me, when it comes up to whenever I do an in-person live event or a launch where it's been weeks and weeks of planning and preparation, naturally I find that I'm just struggling to sleep, because my mind, I really struggle to switch off. But I do try and be as disciplined as I can to have a good evening routine that helps me unwind, switch off, and as best as I can protect that sleep. And that's how I know I'm going to operate at my best.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking after yourself and making sure your well-being, your mindset, just having rest, having sleep, eating well, all of those key things, just fundamentally looking after us as an individual, right, is always going to help with that energy, with that momentum. When it comes to launching as well, I think something that I've definitely experienced, I'm going to speak openly here, and I'm sure many of our listeners have as well, that when you're in the launch phase, and so you're open cart and you're launching and you're sharing your offer, and say it's not going as well as you'd hoped in those first few days, because I think everyone at some point has experienced this, and I don't like to call them failed launches at all, but then they're not performing in the way that you expect or thought they would. That can be quite deflating, can't it? It can kind of give us a little bit of a knock, and we could easily turn off or switch off or get distracted by that, the lack, rather than actually focusing on ultimately that end goal. Is there any advice that you could give our listeners around that if they're experiencing a launch that potentially isn't going as well as they hope? What kind of advice could you give?
First thing I'd say is whatever happens, you're going to learn a load. So, like, you have succeeded no matter what. Just be proud that you've done the launch, that you've put something out there, and you've now got data and information that is valuable. You can now evaluate that and go, why hasn't it gone the way we wanted? What can we do better? Was it our offer? Was it we didn't give long enough to getting visibility and getting more of our ideal client? So there's data. So whatever happens, like, you're not going to die. It's not the end of the world. This is a success. And I remember a friend of mine saying, I don't know the exact statistics, but for somebody creating something online and actually launching it and putting it to market, it puts you in like the 0.001% of people that ever do that in the world. Like,
Wow.
statistically, it's something like that. So just be blooming proud of what you've done. The other thing is, it's not over till it's over. And we had a real realization, because as you're going through your launch, you will see people who are like warm leads, people who are on the fence, people that you think are going to buy. And when we got to that final day of our launch, we were like, there's nobody that we're aware of that was kind of warm or on the fence that hasn't now either bought or just said it's not for me this year. So we were like, we're kind of done now. I don't think we'll get many more launches. Sorry, any more sales. And the last hour, I think it was, just before we were going to close the cart, I went live with Helen, who works with me. And we just did a bit of a like, thank you everybody that's got involved. And it's the last minute. If you do still want to get in, you can for this last hour. And to the minute, this was crazy. The last 30 minutes, and we've got the timestamps, one after another, 6 sales came in on the last. And these were, like, you're literally just seeing it every few minutes over this 30 minutes. It was insane. And we're like, who is that person? I don't even know who they are. Where have they come from? And it was literally crazy to me. So it's not over till it's over. I think you are going to lose sales if you start being defeatist and your energy drops and you disappear. So just remember that whatever happens, it's a success. Whatever happens, it's learning. It's not over till it's over. Keep showing up as your best self. Keep giving value. Keep finding new ways to, get out there and remind people there's this amazing offer and it is running out, and just go till the very end. Once the cart's closed, you can lay down and have a sleep and it's fine. But you may just be surprised. And I'm seeing that trend with a lot of my clients. The,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
general trend is you'll get a few sales when you open the cart in that first sort of 24-hour period. And then generally it does go quiet for most people. It's
yeah.
for most
That's a
people, there's a dip and they're not getting sales every single day. And then there's that massive influx on that last hour and that last day and things like that. So just keep the faith, keep the energy good. And there's that thing of act as if it's already done and you've already sold out. Just keep showing up. Like, I know this is great. I know people are buying it. Just act as if it's already done, because it takes away that desperation and that fear and that need. And you just start showing up like, I've got an amazing offer. Who wants it? And the energy's different.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's definitely, it's definitely around the energy, because again, those last minute Lindas can come in at any point.
Yep.
But I think it's about the energy. It's about showing up as almost as if it's like you've already got it, you've already done it. Because I think when you step into that energy, again, I always say to my clients, at the end of the day, your audience are going to mirror your energy. So ultimately, if you're showing up with this confidence, conviction in terms of this offer is incredible, like, why would you not? It's an absolute no-brainer. They're gonna go, oh, right, okay, like this sounds great, tell me more, sort of thing. So I think that's so important. And like I said, in my own experience, in regards to launching, I think when you do start to allow it to, to affect your mindset and all of those things, it massively knocks you, and it can change the entire like results in regards to your launch. So I think,
Huge.
absolutely showing up, keeping that energy high, that momentum going is really, really important. Yeah, some great advice there. Something else about launching that I'd love to pick your brains on, and I think our listeners will really benefit from this, is say, for example, like me, I have got 3 products that I sell, or offers that I sell all year round. And actually, I'm more of an evergreen person anyway. But say, for example, I wanted to do, say, 2 big launches a year, which I know a number of my clients love to do. How can you then build that momentum and make it super exciting if it's already an offer that people have seen the previous year or earlier on in the year? Is there any advice that you could give around that to basically keep it spicy, to keep it exciting for an existing offer, but you're still launching it because you're opening up the cart, opening up the doors again?
I don't think you can really do that unless there's something additional about that particular launch. I think it's quite difficult to have that same level of excitement if it's like, I can buy this anytime. So there needs to be like time sensitive bonuses, additions that you add on for that launch. And there's many ways you could do this. But when I was looking at us releasing a course, I was kind of like, we know statistically most people never actually complete the courses they sign up to, and I wasn't happy about that. And I wasn't happy putting my name to another course that people buy but don't do much with. And that's also part of why I don't have as much evergreen stuff available, because what I want to do is when people invest in working with me, to some degree, I want to try and take them on a journey and hold them accountable as best as I can. Obviously, that's harder when you've got hundreds of people and things like that, but there is still ways. And what I decided is, if I launch a course, I want to create what I'm calling like a hybrid model where, yes, there's the pre-recorded structure and they've got lifetime access to that and they can come back to it as many times as they want. But also there's a community feel. There's live sessions where they can jump on Zoom and they can ask questions live and get my bespoke guidance and things like that. So it's bonuses like that. Like, I think with your evergreen course, that can just always be there. People can just buy it. And if they just want to go through the course material, they can. But actually, if they want the support, they want the accountability, they want the guidance that is personal to them, they want the community, these are the kind of bonuses you can add on when it's a launch versus the evergreen sales.
Yeah, great advice there. So any of our listeners that have got evergreen offers, or they've got courses and they want to potentially turn them into more of a live program or building that accountability, it could be some incredible things that you could kind of build into your launch as well. So yeah, I love this. One question that I get asked an awful lot, Matt, from my own clients in regards to launching is the time of year. And I'm sure you get asked this, and you've experienced and experimented with lots of different times, I'm sure. Is there any advice that you could give around that, or what is your personal take on times of year to launch?
I think people probably stress too much about it. Like, if you're great at what you do and you've got a great offer and you're targeting the right people, like, you probably feel the same. Like, we've bought things at any time of the year, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
would say to most people, don't put such an emphasis on it. Make sure you're launching when you are ready and when is the right time for your business. But generally, there are trends. If we look at people's, like, when people are more likely to spend money or have more money and things like that, probably not good to launch the day before Christmas, for example, is not wise. Generally, people, again, it's a generalization. People have usually spent a lot over December, have less money to buy stuff in January and things like that. So yes, there are trends. I usually think quite good times to launch can be like March, April, and then again September-y time. So they're usually times where, again, people have come back from summer when it gets to September, and they're now thinking, new me, it's that fresh sort of approach, and they're ready to invest in stuff. But I wouldn't make that such like a focus. I think get more clarity on what's the right time frame for your business. When are we going to be ready? When will the offer be ready? When will we have enough visibility so there's enough potential buyers ready to buy?
Yeah, amazing. So really thinking about ultimately what's going to be best for them, their audience. I do think as well, September, I know September is always a big month for me in business, and I think it is for an awful lot of people. But also at the same time, September is a month that the majority of the online
That's
space
such a good point. Yeah.
launch.
Everybody's launching, right? Yeah, really good point. So that's why I would say it's not an exact science, because if
Yeah.
everybody's launching at the same time, you'll get people go, "Oh my God, I love this, and this is such," and I had this recently, such a good offer, and it's more affordable, but I've just spent a few grand on somebody else, and I wish I'd have done yours now, and it's because I was just a few days behind someone else, things like that. So yeah, I wouldn't it's a really good point. Yeah. Why launch when everyone's launching? And the thing is, if people want something, even if it's not the best time for them financially, like there was, and I think that's another thing. I offer payment plans. I know a lot of people are offering payment plans as well. So if you can help people spread out the payments, it makes it more accessible to people. And usually people that really want it will find the money and make it work for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Payment plans, absolutely. Definitely something I'd highly recommend as well.
Yeah.
So, for anyone that's listening that's potentially considering doing a launch anytime over the next 6 months, we won't put a time frame on it. What would be your biggest tips to give them in preparation for that launch?
So the first phase, focus on having a visibility strategy. That is like the most important thing. And what I mean by visibility strategy is you want to have a multi-layered approach of finding ways to get in front of your ideal client, nurture them, and get them to feel like they know, like, and trust you, and you've built that rapport. So I teach something called the FANS method, which is where like each letter in the word FANS stands for something. So the F stands for find. So look at how you can proactively find the people that
Mm.
are potential clients. Then the A stands for attract. Now, how can you attract them to come into your world, want to follow you, join your email list, and so on? Then the N is nurture. So this is where you now want to nurture that relationship, build that rapport. And then the S, obviously, is sell to them. So this is kind of like a rinse and repeat strategy that you want to follow with like the fans method. But I would say the first part is, I think, just let's make it simple for people listening. It's a numbers game,
Yeah.
right? You can
Yeah.
have the best offer in the world and have really thought about your ideal clients, like wants, desires, fears, objections. You could have nailed that. You can have the best course, the best offer. If enough people don't know about you and enough of the right people, you ain't going to get enough sales. So that's the thing to come back to. And that's why we take time with the launch and we don't just like throw it together last minute. So I think that's the first kind of thing is, and when I say like multi-layered visibility strategy, that doesn't mean just post on social media every day and hope people will find you. Like there's a number of things that I teach people, which includes personal outreach, which basically means actually going and proactively looking for people on social media and building relationships with them, joining groups where they are, joining memberships where they are. Things like pitching to go on podcasts to speak to your ideal client, pitching to be on stages, pitching to teach in memberships, go into networking events where your ideal target client hangs out, and all these kind of things. But really, that's the first phase: is build that mailing list, build that social media following, whatever. Um, and I would say that's one of the most important things that people are not doing enough of. Like they stress so much about being the best at their job and
Yeah.
giving the best service and having the best offer, but just not enough people know you exist. There's something I heard someone speak about recently, which is like she said to the audience, she said, "Who makes the most money? Is it the person who is the number one in the game, like the absolute best at what they do, outstanding, they've really beat on the craft, and they're the best at what they do? Or is it the person who's the best known?" And it's like, well, it's the best known, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, we still want to be great at what we do,
Of course.
but
Yeah.
you have to be known as well. So I think really not underestimating this first point, putting time into getting known and visibility. Then I think we've covered a few things about the offer,
Yes.
bonuses, time sensitive. Um, Make sure you lead with, again, don't just put the offer out there on your launch. Have kind of at least one, if not a couple of little events around that launch. So, for example, a free masterclass, a free challenge that people can join. So it gives them that little bit of try before they buy. They get a feel for what it is you do, what your teaching style is like, what your personality style is like, and they can decide, do I want to work with this person or not? So you don't just send emails to people and create content and then launch. You actually send them to some kind of event, like a free challenge or something like that. I think that's important. Something that was really useful for us on this last launch was an affiliate launch that we did with it. So that's where you get other people to help raise awareness for your free challenge, your free masterclass, and they get a commission of any sales that come through the people that they've brought to it. That was really useful, and we definitely got a lot of sales we wouldn't have got had we not have done the affiliate launch. I think if it's your first launch, generally, it's better to do your own launch first, get good at it, perfect your offer and your process, because an affiliate launch, to do it right, can take a lot of extra energy and time when you were
Energy.
talking there about energy and stuff like that. But again, it's something to consider, certainly, when you're at that point. Yeah, I think there's some of the key things.
Yeah, no, amazing. Some great tips for people to kind of consider and think about. Yeah, I love the concept of affiliate launches. I've done that once, in fact, only once
How
actually.
was it? How did you find it?
Brilliant, brilliant. So I did
Yeah.
that back in March for my movement launch. It wasn't technically for a new offer, but it was more for the movement. But it was fantastic, and it was such a great way for me. It was about getting the message out there. So it's a slightly different launch than sort of focusing on an offer, but it was
Okay.
about getting that message out there and having a great impact. And it's just an incredible way, like you said, to get more people
Yeah.
to see the thing that you are promoting at that time, or that you're wanting people to basically get eyeballs on. So I think it's an incredible way to do it. And especially if you can utilize what I did, is I utilized my own clients and asked them very kindly to share, to share the free event with everyone, and they loved it. They loved to be a part of it. So I think it's an incredible opportunity for you, isn't it, to get more eyes on you and to allow people to be a part of whatever the thing is that you're promoting.
Yeah, but you touched upon something there that's really important with affiliate launches, which is you want the right affiliates. And so
Yes.
when you say there about I got my clients to be affiliates, they're some of the best affiliates. And they don't necessarily need to have the biggest audience in the world, but
No.
what they are is people with that real experience of working with you who can talk from a genuine, authentic place. So I think that's a really key part of having success with affiliate launches is get the right affiliates on board.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to your first point for the previous question as well about visibility, I just thought I'd dive into this more because it is important. Like you said, it is a numbers game. It's about getting more people see you. And I think it's, again, there's a lot of misconceptions in the online space of, you put out an offer on social media and people going to buy instantly from your content. And even though that's not technically launching, but it could be,
Yeah. Yeah.
interpreted as a launch or putting things out there. But the thing is, if you haven't got the visibility, and I know I would never say to people you have to have 10,000 followers to make a successful business. I don't believe in that. But what I do believe is exactly what you said, which is the end of the day, we do need to be visible. We need to have people seeing our stuff or seeing us or hearing our thought leadership, our values, our opinions, our beliefs. So I think visibility is really key. And I know we're not sort of diving too much into that, but is there anything that you would say just to kind of add to that advice in regards to getting more visible?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the best things that I've done this year is I set a goal at the start of the year because I was like, I'm building an online business and most of what I'm doing is online. But actually, the more we go online, the more things become digital and there's more that we have artificial intelligence, the more that I believe there's value in in-person conversations and building real relationships. And I don't think there's a substitute still. Like we met in person on a retreat. And I think that relationship, then when you can, take it forward in the online world, but you have a different feeling about each other knowing
Yeah.
you've actually had that personal experience versus they just popped up on social media one day. So that is one thing I probably would double down on for people. I set the goal this year of going, I need to do more of that. I need more in the room, in person stuff. And so my goal was minimum, I'm going to do something in person every single month, minimum. And we've smashed that goal. We're halfway through the year at the time of recording, and I've done multiple stuff every single month. And I actually think that that is one of the biggest things that has made an impact on my business because we've probably all done it. Like sometimes you see someone online, you go, oh, I don't know if they're for me. They look a bit too much or whatever. But when you meet them in person, you go, oh, I get it actually. You're actually a nice person. And it's just the way I saw you online was slightly different. So I think that's one big thing is getting in person, building real relationships and then taking them online can be a game changer. The second thing, I don't hear many people talk about this. So here you go. This might be a little bit of a new one for people that they've not just heard regurgitated on all the other shows and stuff like that. But it's the power of proximity. And Alex Hormoni speaks about this, Hormozy even, and Daniel Priestley speaks about this, which is like one of the best ways to get trust is to borrow the trust from somebody who's already trusted. So what I mean by that is if you look at your industry, and you see people that are already a few levels ahead of you. So they're already way more successful. They have a bigger following. They have a lot of trust in the industry. How can you increase proximity to that person? Like, can you pay to work with them? Can you invest in having them as a mentor or something like that? So that You build a relationship with that person, they get to know, like, and trust you, and then they can start to recommend you to other people in the industry. And that is a great way to open doors and have more people knowing you, maybe for some of you at a higher level than you're currently attracting on your own. So if you look at it, like, both of us have worked with Lisa Johnson. A lot of people know Lisa in the business strategy world. She's one of the most successful at it. She's one of the most successful at launching. She's made, I believe, is it 22 million in the last 8 years, something like that. So people trust and respect her in this industry. But then when you and I are working with her, and you know, I've literally had this the other week where somebody said to Lisa, I need a speaker that's kind of X, whatever. And Lisa went, I know you need for that. It's Matt. And because Lisa said you need Matt, that person who trusts Lisa is like, right, well, I need Matt then. Just the same as if you look at who Lisa's mentors are, she's now working with Alex Hormozy and Layla Hormozy. Like, if somebody's speaking to Layla or Alex and they think, oh, I need this person for X, and Alex Hormozy goes, you need to speak to Lisa Johnson, they're going to speak to Lisa Johnson because Alex Hormozy said it. So I think this is a little bit of a, if you want to call it a hack, to be able to get more visible and get those maybe higher quality leads and people to do business with, is the power of proximity. Get around the people and build trust and a relationship with those people, and they will open doors for you.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. Great piece of advice.
Not spoken about a lot, that one,
No.
is it? But it's true. And I bet you've got examples of it. I've got examples of it where that has really helped us out.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly the same. Absolutely. And in fact, just thinking about it, it's, again, I think even with my own clients, I've definitely recommended or referred them to other people for speaking on podcasts, for example, and things. And I think, again, it's just, it's having that, oh my gosh, I love this. Great piece of advice. There we go.
It requires you to invest. It is one of those things where you need to be willing to invest in getting around those people and getting in the rooms with those people, and then investment in kind of like your time, your energy, your courage to speak to them and get to know them, and it will pay off if you're good at what you do and you're a good person. I found, and you've probably had similar experiences, the higher up people are, because people could look at that, what I've said, and think, well, Lisa kind of does the same as what you do, just on a higher level. She might see you as competition. But there's that whole thing of like collaboration, not competition. And in my experience, it's never been truer with the people at the top. Like, the people who are most successful, generally, in my experience, are the most giving, the most open, the most willing to collaborate. They don't see it as competition.
No, I agree. Absolutely. They're always there to support, to help, and like you said, to collaborate. Amazing. This is incredible. So much value, so much advice in this podcast episode for our listeners. What would be the one final piece of advice that you can give our listeners about launching today?
Do it. Just do it. Just do it. Yeah, obviously get strategy, get help, get support. That is a must, in my personal opinion, because you're going to waste so much time, waste so much money doing it the hard way. So definitely get help and get support. But the number one piece of advice I would give people is what I see people doing is they're constantly overthinking. Overthinking leads to overwhelm. Overwhelm leads to procrastination. Then they're thinking some more, talking some more. There's a lot of thoughts and thinking and not enough action. And actually, the people that I have the privilege of knowing and being around that are the most successful, you know, the multi-7 figures, the multi-8 figures, and those kind of levels, they just make a decision and they act on it, and they learn through doing. That's kind of the quote I say to people: learn through experience, not through textbooks and ideas and strategies. Get out there and do it, and have the courage to know that whatever happens, the best lessons come from experience, not from thinking about. So just do it.
Love it. Absolutely. Go out there and do it. For anyone listening, if you're considering launching or you're worried about X, Y, and Z, just go out and do it. And exactly what Matt said, you know, everything is a lesson. Everything is a learning opportunity, should I say, a learning opportunity. And you will learn every single thing that you do. And I think it's incredible. Don't you believe, like, with the entrepreneurial journey as well, just everything we do, whether it works out in the way that we want it to or not, we can learn something from every single part of that and aspect. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And it's always, and we've heard way more successful and famous people than me say similar stuff about, you know, it's not the success that teaches you the most. It is the failures. And it just is. So I think if you can get over that fear of looking silly or it not going how you expected or whatever, and just go, actually, failure is essential for success. you can suddenly embrace it and be okay with it. And then the sooner you fail, the sooner you succeed. And I think that's a really good way to look at it.
Incredible. Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here on the podcast as
Thanks.
incredible guest for this week. And I'm going to ask you this one question, by the way, because I ask all of my guests this question. What is your one word of the year and why?
So I don't set a one word of the year because I think there's a lot that can happen in a year. And I go through lots of seasons and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I don't usually do that. But I actually thought about sort of like my word of the month, if you want to call it
Nice.
that, because somebody else asked me this the other day. And I think the word right now is momentum. I think there's seasons in your life where you can take the foot off the pedal a little bit and just cruise. And there's other seasons where momentum is high and it's your responsibility to like really roll with that. So I would say momentum. But just thinking out loud, I think probably overall, if I look at this year so far, probably impact would be the word. Like it's the most impact I've ever made. It's the most people that I've been able to help.
Mm.
So that's exciting. So yeah, I'll give you two because obviously I'm greedy. I can't just give you one. Sorry.
No, I love it. Honestly, it's been a pleasure, and I really, really hope that all of our listeners have got some incredible key takeaways about launching and the conversations that we've had today. Matt, where can our listeners find you and connect with you?
Oh, I'd love if people have resonated. I'd love you. Do you know what? Drop me a message on Instagram and actually like just say, Matt, I just listened to your podcast. If there's something, because actually, this is something I'm mindful of, is we get into that habit of just listening to podcasts, having a little spark of inspiration, or having a little bit of an idea of what we can do. And we forget that that person on the podcast is somebody we could build a relationship with. You know, everything we've spoken about today about visibility, people opening doors for you. So I would say, like, please do actually drop me a message and let's have a chat. And it's not about me trying to sell anything to you. It's just about us building a relationship that could be beneficial down the line. So if they get me on Instagram, it's at Matt Hall Official. I came up with that years ago when I thought I was a big deal. I was like, I'm the official me, and it's like, who are you, Matt? Nobody cares. But yeah, it's a bit embarrassing. But that is the name at Matt Hall Official. And actually, if you don't mind me just shouting this out as well, we've spoken a lot about visibility. Um, and I have put something together that I think if you've been listening to this going, visibility is the thing that lets me down and I need to get better at, just go and sign up and get my free guide. And you will be on my mailing list, just to be clear. Like, this is a way that I can hook you in. This is what we know as a lead magnet. Like, we're not going to pretend it isn't. But I've really put something together that I think is useful. So it's like, I've called it the 7 ways to get visible now. And what
Nice.
it is a bit of a directory with links on there. So on there, you might know as well, there's websites where you can pitch to journalists to get more PR. There's places you can pitch to be on podcasts. There's places like websites that exist where you can get on people's memberships. So I've literally put links in there of websites you can go to and get yourself connecting with people who can get you in front of their audience. I've also put on there the list of events I'm going to this year and next year that are brilliant for entrepreneurs. So if you kind of like, I need to do more in-person networking, I need to get some more events, I've literally put a list of the ones that I'm going to. So I'll see you there, but they're great events and there's the links to get tickets. So it's just a little guide I've shoved together that could be useful for you. If they want that, I don't know if you can put it in the show notes
Yeah.
or whatever.
If
Stick
you're
it
listening, it's down in the show notes.
down below. We'll get it in the show notes. But the URL is just successschoolgroup.co.uk. So that's my company, successschoolgroup.co.uk. And then just get / get dash featured. I think it is get dash featured. Yeah. Or just go to the show notes. But come and join us, get that guide and connect with me. And you'll be on my mailing list so we can build a bit of a relationship with each other.
No, I love this. I love the sound of that as well. I think that's a question I get asked quite a lot as well, actually, by quite a few people. Like, what are the best events to go to? Where can we, So I think having something like that, especially for visibility overall, but actually having some suggestions and recommendations is like brilliant. And can we talk about your event as well?
Yeah, please do. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you tell everyone about? So Matt is honestly, everyone listening, I met Matt in LA on Lisa Johnson's retreat. He is genuinely the most incredible man who I've met in. Obviously, we met in LA, and the energy that you bring is just incredible. And I know that you are hosting what looks to be the most insane event. I am 100% going. I know that I've already shared this with my clients as well, but can you just share with our listeners a little bit more about your event?
Thank you. That was really nice. I didn't expect that little Brucey bonus at the end. Thank you. And likewise as well. And actually, the whole group of people were amazing on that retreat, weren't they? We were so lucky just to be around such amazing people, which again is another reason to get to stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, so the event. So I am a big champion of the north of England. I feel like as an entrepreneur myself that's been in business 15 years, I've always felt like if I want to go to events, I have to go to London or Bristol or Birmingham or whatever. Or America, right? We've been to America a good few times to get to this. And I was like, we need more of that in the north. So it's happening. This next event is happening on Sunday, the 5th of October. 2025. If you're listening in the future, you've missed it. Sorry. So it's on a Sunday. It's a full one-day event. Nobody's doing anything on a Sunday, so you've got no excuses. We've got Stephen Bartlett's brand manager, Grace Andrews, who's going to be there talking, which is just an amazing person to have in that room with us. It's going to be a full day, all things business strategy. There's also going to be lots of opportunities for networking, because I recognize that that's really important, is not just to constantly be learning and listening, to also then digest, process and chat about what you've just learned and connect with people. It's going to be an amazing day. If anyone knows my events, they know it's high energy, it's good vibes. I want to give genuine, like, good information that's useful and that's tangible, but I also want us to have a bit of a laugh doing it as well. I'm not that kind of like hustle culture, get up at 5 a.m. and shout at everybody to make them successful. That's not me. But the last event we did sold out. At the time of recording, we've still got months and months to go, and we've already sold over 50%, which is the fastest we've ever sold tickets. So yeah, get your tickets. Again, I don't know if you can put it in the show notes or people just message me or whatever, but I can't wait. And the people that I know are going already, like, this is a room to be in. There's some very successful business owners, not just on stage, but in the room. It genuinely is a great place to connect with people. So yeah, come to the north. I don't care where you live. Let's get events like that happening in the north. And the only way we can do this is if people support them. If everybody only ever goes to London or America, then the north isn't going to have a fair shot at it. So I really do encourage people and ask of people, really, please do give us a chance. Come to Leeds. It's at the Hilton Hotel, Sunday the 5th of October, and I'll see you there.
Yeah, amazing. Yes, the link is in the show notes. And like I said, I'm going to be at the event. So for everyone listening, come along, come and join me. We're going to have such a fabulous time. And like I said, Matt is incredible. Matt, honestly, it's been a pleasure. I am forever grateful for you coming on, talking about launching, as it's not something that I specialize in. And I love everything that you've shared today. So I really do appreciate you. So thank you so much for coming and to be a guest this week.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks to everyone for joining us in today's episode. Don't forget to rate, review and subscribe to the podcast, and I'll see you all again next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast with me, your host, Kaylee Greenacre. If you are ready to build, grow and scale your dream six-figure or multi-six-figure business, then head to our website now for more information or connect with me on socials to see how you can create your dream business and dream life.